If you are looking for a simple way to create complex sounding linear patterns with overlapping grace notes, then you are in the right place. This is linear overlap. Remember to like, subscribe, to come back every Tuesday to keep improving your drumming skills with us. I've taught well over 1,000 drum lessons to people just like you, and I can show you too. I'm Gabriel, and you are watching Drum Tip Tuesday. Okay, so how are we going to do this thing? Probably tempted to go right into it, take a look at the music, and just figure it out note for note. But if you do that, I promise, well, more likely than not, you're going to be faced with a challenge that's a bit overwhelming. It seems real simple, but when you try to learn it at face value without any sort of like preliminary exercise to prepare you, then it looks more complicated than it is. That's the thing. So I'm going to show you how I came up with this thing and how I come up with or think of these kinds of patterns. When I start overlapping, what I'm really doing is playing, for the most part, combinations of Flam rudiments that have some flow in them, that have some bounce. In other words, the Flam rudiments where one hand is doing this. That's the one-handed breakdown of a Flam tap. If you take Flam taps, put one hand on a softer surface, those kind of things. In that category, you also have the single Flam mill. And you have the Swiss Army triplet. Let's focus on the Swiss Army triplet. It seemed like the way this one came out, I was feeling my hands more like a Swiss Army triplet. In case you don't know, this is the Swiss Army triplet off the right. It's just a Flam into a double right, then a left. Flam, right, left. Off the left. All right, you don't have to play Flam Swiss Army triplets quite like that in order to get the benefit from them and incorporate them as a way of learning this pattern, but it does help. Anyways, let's go on to the pattern. Specifically, what you're going to find there is once you put your hand in sort of time-keeping position on the drums, move away from the pad, time-keeping position on the drums, right hand on the hi-hat, left hand on the snare drum, or the hand you usually have on the hi-hat and snare drum. And you're going to see, like for instance, in beat one, I'm going to take a look at the music here. There it is. You have that double left and a single right, right? What is that? That's just a Swiss Army triplet, a left-hand Swiss Army triplet. The thing is, flatten it out, you know? Flatten it out. When you have those grace notes like this here, you have one hand on the snare drum, one hand on the hi-hat, it's going to sort of flatten out. Just unison. As a matter of fact, before you start learning this exact pattern, you should take some of these things, take a Swiss Army triplet, and just play combinations of kick, snare, and hi-hat. Like say, for instance, a left-hand Swiss Army triplet, and then the kick. And switch your mindset to 16th notes, like 1E and a 2E and a 3E and 4E. And just play. And then do it off the other hand, play right Swiss Army triplet. And start to feel it like it's in 16th notes. 3E and a 4E and a 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 3, off the left. 3, 4. Now that's very basic, but it's the central idea of all the overlapping that's in this pattern. And you saw in the beginning when I played it, if you were paying attention, it sounds pretty complex. But really, it's just either left, left with a right, or right, right with a left. And it begins, if you just ignore the kick drum pattern for a second, it begins left, left, and a right. Then you go to beat 3, or actually the of beat 2, and you'll see it's left, left, right, right. And actually, that's kind of like, that overlapping is more like a flam tap, except it's missing one flam, right? So practicing the Swiss Army triplet in timekeeping position on the drums will help to prepare you for this. So you have left, left, right together, and right. Now, an interesting thing happens when you repeat the bar. You go from the of 4 back to 1. You'll notice the kick and the kick are together. That's another right, right, except it's on the foot, yeah? So you have right, right into another left, left. In other words, from the of 4 back to beat 1, you have right on the kick, unison, kick and snare, and then left on the snare. It's another sort of overlapping thing. And you say, well, how did that come about? I composed this pattern without the kick drum on beat 1. And I thought, man, it really needs a kick drum on beat 1. And I just put it in. Much to my surprise, I could just throw it in there, all 3 limbs hitting at the same time. And it was easy because I noticed that, well, it's just another overlap in a similar fashion I've been doing with my hands. Now I'm doing it between the right foot and the left hand. You will experience the same phenomenon. If you're having trouble putting this together, take out the kick on beat 1 and try it like that. You sort of divide and conquer the rhythm, one overlapping part at a time. All right? So enough of me babbling. Let's go back to the drums and check it out at 3 tempos. And if you want to develop superior hand technique, click the link below this video to get Hands, my free ebook that contains my best 3 exercises for developing clean, fast drumming. And remember to like, subscribe, watch one of these videos next.